this is a new what if. Now guys, today I'm going to be uploading, by the time this video comes out, I'll probably be uploading, it's probably going to be uploaded about 4 other what ifs. So, basically enough talking, because I got to get this what if done. Then I got to move on 3 other what ifs. Then after those what ifs, if I still have enough time, I'll maybe make more and more. So basically today I'm going to be like grinding on the upload time, or uploads. So yeah. So let's get into it. This is what if Deku was Scorpius Rex Part 1. Now, basically, let's start at the beginning, when Deku was born, or when Deku's powers are emerged. Now, basically, this is off my own story. Someone gave me that idea, but they never gave me some specific things that go off the story, or make the story about. They just said, Scorpius Rex. So, basically, Deku will be able to transform into a Scorpius Rex, but also have some abilities while he's in his human form, so he doesn't have to transform all the time. So let's start. So Deku will be born in a lab instead of being born normally. Deku will be born in a lab at Jurassic Park. In this world, Jurassic Park was a thing and was made with the help of Japan and America mixed together. Basically, Japan had their version of Jurassic Park, and then Jurassic Park was ran down and pretty much abandoned because that Jurassic Park was the same Jurassic Park as Jurassic World in the new thousands movie, the new 20,000, the new 2000s movies. Now, like 2016 or 2014, whatever. Basically, Japan's Jurassic Park was actually experimenting on something very differently. So basically, after the whole time, after their Jurassic Park was shut down because the America's Jurassic Park was, everything went wrong and the dinosaurs got away or got out. Basically, they were shut down, but some of the scientists still had their DNA, or the, projects of making dinosaurs and breeding them and bringing life to creatures with science. So, they wanted to try it out with a human DNA and dinosaur DNA. So, they tried DNA of Scorpius Rex, a project they were making, or pretty much working on, that they never fully finished or made, actually, or, perfected. So, they perfected it, and it has some side effects. So they perfected the dinosaur and basically extracted its DNA. It was very hard to get its DNA because, it was very, very, very dangerous. So basically they got a blood sample by tranquilizing the absolute pretty much soul out of it, pretty much putting about 50 tranquilizer darts in his chest. So they got blood samples, and basically they put it in human DNA, and they merged it together. And this human DNA had a quirk. This quirk was called absorption. Now, this human DNA was imbued with the power of absorption, and basically it absorbed DNA into its DNA. So its quirk was basically useless, but it had the abilities of the Scorpius Rex. And they wanted to make, basically there was no really reason for them to make this. They just wanted to see if they could make a human out of just dinosaur DNA and human quirk DNA. They wanted to see if it would come out deformed or come out human with some sort of quirk ability. So they just wanted to see if they could make it. So if they could make it, they would surround it for about 3 years, and then when it's 3 years old, they would give it to a adoptive family, because if it did have any special abilities, they would just mark it down as a quirk, and they would be trained by doctors and professionals. So yeah, so basically they studied the child's behavior for about 3 years, and teaching the child about, building blocks and reading and all that stuff. And by the age of 3, Deku was already incredibly smart and able to read at the age of 3, and also be able to speak in perfect, sentences without anything being messed up, and also him being able to pretty much learn pretty fast, being a actual, brilliant, pretty much actual genius. So Deku went on to be pretty, known for his talents of being the smartest 3-year-old ever. So Deku, basically after Deku's being surveilled for 3 years, they found out that Deku had some sort of abilities and also some, deformities, not deformities, but more or less they can be marked down as just quirk mutation types. So Deku had scales on his, what was it? Scales on his back, where his pretty much scales down along his spine. Deku also had scales on his, what was it? On his calves, and also Deku had scales on the pretty much, what was it? Had scales on his, what was it? On his the side of his thighs. So that was basically all the scales he had on his body, and the scales were dark black with green highlights, and basically that was basically it. So basically, Deku had a couple other deformities. Deku had bright green hair, but also Deku had green hair, but Deku had very, in particularly, Deku had two canine teeth next to each other that were basically incredibly sharp. Now, since Deku's teeth are so sharp, Deku's tongue was actually super rough as a lion's tongue. If you don't know what is a lion's tongue is so rough that it can literally rip the flesh off of bones. So yeah, that's how tough Deku's tongue is. So Deku, if he licked you, he could take off your flesh. So Deku has a lion tough tongue. So if he ever bit his tongue with his, you know, super sharp two canine teeth, he wouldn't, really damage his tongue that much. And also, Deku has slight regeneration. Deku can't regenerate limbs or anything like that, but Deku can heal from wounds like a gunshot or like a knife or like a stab wound pretty fast. About 2 times as fast as a normal human would, heal from a gunshot or a stab wound. Deku also heals incredibly fast, with like any type of stuff like a paper cut or like a knife slash. Deku can heal from that incredibly fast, but getting shot by a gun, getting stabbed, or getting, basically pummeled takes a little bit longer to heal. So Deku also had superhuman strength and agility that he would develop later on in his life. So all I had now was Deku just had a tough lion type tongue. Deku had slight regeneration, and also Deku had a superhuman pretty much Scorpius Rex type senses. So Deku also developed attractable claws with his nails that would be dark black and could pretty much scratch through anything, kind of like how the Scorpius Rex can scratch. And Deku also had the agility of the Scorpius Rex. Scorpius Rex is pretty fast and it pretty much can jump on buildings pretty quickly. So it had a lot of agility. Since Deku was human, was a lot more smaller than the Scorpius Rex, so he had a lot more agility, and basically was matched up with the same agility as Spider-Man or Daredevil, maybe. The same agility as Daredevil or a monkey. So he was pretty, athletic. Deku also could run as fast as Scorpius Rex, and I don't know what that speed is, but I think it's about the same speed as a Velociraptor. 40 kilometers per hour, that's how fast Deku can run. So, Deku can run as fast as a Velociraptor, and I guess that's the same speed as a Scorpius Rex. So, basically, Deku also could see in the dark, and Deku also could hear exceptionally good, about the same level as a bird, or like you know, a lizard or something. Deku can smell and hear superhumanly, and Deku also had, could see in the dark, and Deku also had, the ability to, what was it? I think it was, Deku also was semi-coated blooded. Basically, Deku liked the super sun. Like Deku, it took a lot of heat to make Deku a little bit warm or like sweaty. So Deku had a very good heat resistance. So Deku was kind of cold blooded. Deku could also see heat signatures then and there. So Deku could switch through normal sight, see in the dark, and also thermal vision. So yeah, so Deku had a lot of abilities. So when Deku was about, let's say, 10, Deku was, adopted by a very rich family. And this rich family would be, the, what you call it? This family would be just, a random rich family. This family will be Inko. Now, this universe's Inko is actually a very profound scientist that worked at, Jurassic Park, and that was the founder of Japan's Jurassic Park. So she was pretty rich, and she had a lot of money, saved up from the foundings of Jurassic Park. So, yeah. Also, she also had, what was it? She also had, what was it? A husband that also worked on this, that also was the founder of Jurassic World. So basically, they got married and they merged their money and they became rich. But also, they loved each other very much, so they never really, went to divorce or anything like that. So basically, Deku was adopted by them because Inko in this universe couldn't have children because she was attacked on Jurassic Park and she was scratched in the stomach and somehow um her uterus was destroyed or something and they had to remove it so she couldn't have kids. So basically, um she basically yeah, that's basically what happened. She couldn't have kids, so she adopted Deku, and Deku had green hair like her and looked kind of like her, and she liked Deku's reptilian type of quirk because a reminder of Jurassic Park. So she adopted Deku and, took him in. And Deku's father, or adopted father, treated him like his son, like he, was his biological son. And they didn't really treat him different at all because they, knew him as a biological son. And sometimes they just completely forgot that he was adopted in the first place because they loved him so much. So Deku was pretty loved as a child and treated with absolute care. And the scientists didn't even treat Deku that bad in Jurassic Park or like in the science lab. So Deku had a pretty normal childhood after all. So Deku developed his superhuman ability, his other superhuman abilities later on in life. Deku started developing that he could change his body in certain ways, like change his hands into giant reptilian hands, like the Scorpius Rex's hands, and sometimes Deku could even get so close to transform his whole body into some sort of dinosaur. But he couldn't really reach it yet because Deku was still 11. So Deku had the ability, Deku started developing superhuman strength when he was about 10 years old. So Deku could punch through walls, like straight up Deku could punch through, let's say, a normal wall, like in your house, like right now, he could punch through your wall or kick down a door with relative ease. That could also make a pretty good indent into some sort of titanium. But basically, Deku can't punch through Deku can punch into concrete, but he can't punch through concrete or run through concrete walls or anything like that. And Deku's claws are indestructible, but it takes a long time for Deku to even get close to try to cut a concrete wall with just a little bit of claws. So it would take like forever. So Deku could also pick locks with his claws as well. And Deku also has the ability to basically walk on ceilings or crawl on ceilings. So Deku can crawl up walls and stuff like that. So I think I got done explaining all of his powers. So Deku will be able to transform into a full-blown Scorpius Rex later on when he's about 16. So yeah, so Deku got superhuman strength, and Deku was about the same strength as a super soldier. So Deku pretty much, let's skip all the way when Deku's about 15. So Deku's 15 at this point, and Deku goes to the same school that Ida goes to, and basically is pretty good friends with Ida. And also Deku spends most of his time studying biogenetics like his mother did. How his mother, you know, pretty much designed Jurassic Park, and he looked up, biogenetics, and he found out that he had dinosaur DNA in his body one time. So Deku tested his DNA and found out that he wasn't purely human, and that the power Deku has isn't actually a quirk at all. Deku has some sort of Deku is some sort of hybrid of a dinosaur. So Deku thinks he's just messing with himself because there's no way he can be a hybrid of a dinosaur. And Deku thinks that maybe his parents, put dinosaur DNA into him when he was born. Now Deku doesn't actually know he's adopted, so that's a big whoop. So Deku will. So that guys, should Deku find out that he's adopted, or should he, keep it a secret for the rest of the series, and he should never find out? Or should he find out and have like some sort of emotional drawback on him, or something like that? So Deku, basically, at this point, Deku started gaining signs that he was able to transform into a full-blown dinosaur, like how Deku could transform his whole head into a Scorpius Rex head, and also Deku can grow new teeth. So basically, Deku, you know, goes left and right, again and over again. Basically, eventually, I'm sorry, guys. Basically, Deku goes to, what was it, school the same, and is pretty good friends with Ida. Now, at this point, Ida and Deku goes back to, what was it, home after the last day of their middle school, and they go to UA. They sign up for UA, and Deku meets up with Ida at, Deku meets up with Ida at, what was it, at UA, the entrance exams. So Deku was wearing, basically, let's say, sorry guys, man, put that away. So basically, Deku will be wearing a green jacket, red shirt, and pretty much these pants, and a Jurassic Park bracelet, and he'll be basically getting ready. So they start, and Deku sprints past everybody, basically using his, Velociraptor speed. Deku reaches up speed, gets about near the speed of Ida, and basically, starts running near Ida. Deku sees a couple of robots jumping into them, clawing into them, throwing them into walls, and pretty much biting into them, doing pretty much taking them out like an animal would, basically ripping at them, clawing at them, pretty much trying to eat them. So Deku, takes down a pretty good handful of robots. At this point, Deku will get into UA, automatically because he got a lot of hero points saving people from robots and also taking down robots, throwing them into buildings or into walls, not really buildings, into walls and scratching them in the face or in the wires and taking them out. So Deku eventually comes across a Zero Pointer robot, and Ida saying to run off. Ida runs past Deku, and Deku looks around, about to run, but he hears a girl screaming. Deku thinks about how he wanted to be a hero his whole life, and also he can't just leave and let a girl get killed. So Deku runs over to Ochaku, or a brown-haired girl, to his perspective, under some rubble, and runs over to the girl, pushing the rubble off of her, and grabbing her and sprinting her out of the way, barely, basically Deku getting caught under some rubble on his ankle. Deku pushes the girl out of the way and says, "Get out of here." And the robot's about to step on Deku. In about 3 minutes, a hero's trying to stop the robot, but the robot's not. But the hero's not there in time, and Deku's about to get stepped on. Deku's adrenaline flows to his body at full speed, and eventually Deku's body starts going in overdrive. And Deku hears his clothes ripping, and his body changing, and he hears his bones cracking and rearranging in seconds, and Deku transforms into the Scorpius Rex. Deku transforms into Scorpius Rex and gets out of the rubble pretty fast, being the rubble pushed off of the Scorpius Rex, and he runs out of the way of the Zero Point Robot's foot. The hero sees Deku transform so fast, and Deku starts running around, clawing at robots, and eventually was actually about to take down other students, about to eat them, because Deku's mind was off somewhere. The Scorpius is pretty much Deku's animal instincts were taking control, and Deku's about to kill a kid on the, field, but the sirens went off, and they pretty much snapped Deku out of it, and Deku de-transformed, pretty much falling down to the ground, being butt naked. Ochaku finds his jacket on the floor, because the jacket Deku was ripped off, but it wasn't completely, destroyed. So Ochaku handed it to Deku. Basically, Ochaku trying to sneak a peek, but Deku pretty much, telling her to step back. So Deku puts on his jacket about near his waist, like a skirt or something, and basically says thank you, and pretty much, starts sprinting off out of the out of the fake city, trying to find some clothes from the lost and found from the recovery girl. Recovery girl gives Deku the best recovery girl can get is give Deku basically a hospital gown, and Deku basically takes his hospital gown and puts his jacket on, and walks off. Ochaku sees that Deku's pretty strong, and also that she kind of likes Deku now. So basically, before Deku can leave, she runs up to him and asks him for his name. He says, "My name is Azuka Midoriya," and basically she says, "Well, my name's Ochaku Uraka," and maybe we can. Deku says, "I gotta go, but maybe when you get into UA, I'll meet up with you." And basically, he runs off. So Ochaku stands there and basically just, there. So guys, should I do a Ochaku ship, or should I ship Deku with Frobby? Or somebody else? So Deku runs off, basically getting ready, and, calling out his breath. Basically running to his house at full speed, and, going to his room. Basically his mom says, "What's up with the hospital gown?" And Deku says, "I transformed, and my clothes ripped." Basically Deku's mom says, "I can get you some clothing that can probably stretch to your, new form, whatever." They called the school called me, and they said, "You never said anything about transforming." And Deku says, "I didn't transform. I thought I could transform fully, but I guess the adrenaline through my body when I almost died." And basically Deku's mom says, "You almost died?" Deku starts explaining about how he was about to get smushed on and, died. But his mom pretty much says, "Okay, well, I glad you're okay," and pretty much tells Deku that I gotta do some business real quick, and I'll be back in about 2 hours. Deku says, "Okay," and Deku's mom says, "There's dinner in the fridge, and you can just order pizza. It is money in, it's money in my purse." So basically, Inko walks out, and pretty much she just has her handy dandy black card and walks out of the house. So Deku gets up and walks towards the purse, pretty much saying that maybe I should order pizza, but looking around, seeing that his mom prepared a pretty good dinner, Deku eats dinner and just watches the news. And I'm going to leave it off here, guys. So, basically, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys like and subscribe. Now, guys, as always, guys, you can request anything about any what if, and also, guys, you can request for any video, like a stop motion or some sort of custom video review you want. So, yeah, guys. So, basically, I hope you guys have a blessed day. As always, guys, well, have a blessed day. Bye.